The Nicky Byrne Show.
With Jenny Green.
The Nicky Byrne Show with Jenny Green.
Yeah. 2FM.
The days are dark and they're miserable, so you might find yourself daydreaming about holiday plans for 2019. But where to go? That is the question. What to see and what adventures do you want to create? Holiday expert Siobhan Byrne Learat joins us now in studio to talk about top holiday trends for 2019 and some of the A-list clients she's helped along the way. But Siobhan, good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
So I suppose let's start even as a basic level. How did you get into this line of work yourself? Because it sounds like the dream job.
Yeah, well, I was working with the hotel, the Court Hotel in Killiney for 11 years. And then I became the managing director of a property company where we bought historic properties, flipped them, and would have wealthy clients. But the one thing I noticed was that we didn't have any high-end services to back it up, like no amazing driver guides, no experiences to add, to the properties. So I did my MBA, and then the thesis of my MBA was actually the business plan for Adams and Butler.
Okay, brilliant. Because I think the thing about it is we all often find ourselves in a situation where we want to do something really unusual, really different and maybe really special. And to actually sit down and go online and try and put that together and know even what you're looking at is quite a challenge in itself. So what are some of the sort of the motivators for this, shall we say? What would you say to someone when they come to you? Do you ask them a list of questions so you can kind of ascertain what it is they want out of a holiday?
Well, we're what is known, we're sort of based almost on the American model. So we're like a private travel designer. So what we do is we would have sort of a list of contacts all around the world. We'd know them personally. We'd have contracts as well with all the top iconic properties, etc. And we're a member of Virtuoso, which is an American consortia of travel designers. And they would have negotiated different things for us. So we get extra benefits that are worth about $400, $500 per person stay. So what we do first is we have a blank piece of paper, and then we would actually listen to what the clients want. A lot of the time what we offer is that nothing is more expensive booked through us, but we help people sort of capitalise on the time, researching the destination or destinations they want to go to, their time when they're there, and also on their money. So we know the tips like, how to save money in some places, where to spend. But a lot of the time as well, it's validating the client's own research. So sometimes you have a client that come in and half the research is amazing and half of it is something they read which was an advertising which doesn't do the property justice, or in fact glories the property when in fact it doesn't have those merits. So a lot of the things we do is as such, like the reason that people would go as such is that they want obviously rest and relaxation, but also they want sort of one of a kind experiences. They want to cross things off the bucket list. They want to look for a new destination. They want to maybe do something they haven't tried before. Like we found a new property, a private chateau in France, which has its own golf course, and people want to learn how to play golf, but they want to do it in a relaxed setting. So they go for a week, and it's a 14-hole golf course, and they play golf there. Another thing people do is they're sort of the eco-lux trend, where they want to go to a place where they can engage with local people, where they feel that they might be spending money, and sometimes people feel guilty spending money on a holiday, and what they want to do is they want to make sure that the money they're spending goes back into the community, that it's ethical. They might want to have direct contact with animals, but at the same time they want to make sure that it's something that's viable, that's sustainable. So like people used to go and ride elephants, but they don't do that anymore.
No.
There used to be camps that you can touch elephants and do stuff like that, but again, that's not what people do, although they might go to sort of a place where they have like the giraffe manor, where the giraffes will come in, but they're almost wild. But
you could visit a sanctuary, but you don't have to get too close and personal, so you don't take into their space. So what are some of the top places then that you would recommend?
Well, Rwanda is one that's really happening at the moment. Now they have increased the fee for seeing the gorillas, which is $1,500 per person. But if you visit a second park in Rwanda, you can get the fee down to $1,050. And like if 8 people go up, they spend 1 hour with the gorillas. And every single person that's done it, when they're actually leaving the gorillas, the first thing they say is, "This is not the last time that I'm doing this."
Wow, okay.
Rwanda, they used to have sort of 3-4-star properties. They only had 1 or 2, really good properties. But now, One and Only have opened up in the south in Nyungwe, so you can actually go chimpanzee tracking. And the thing about the gorillas and chimpanzees, with the chimpanzees, it's more a destination. It's a tracking that's fun. You've got two rangers in front of you, you know, chopping down sort of a way for you to go through this dense jungle, and you can see the chimpanzees above, and like you can hear them hollering and making sounds, and that's the fun part of it. Whereas you're not too close to the chimpanzees. But with the gorillas, it's different. It's sort of the destination, not the journey, that's important. So you sort of trudge for an hour or 2 hours up, you know, a mountain, and then you get to the gorillas, and it's just like it's heaven to see, you know, the little gorillas playing around,
I'd say it's magical.
you know, playing with their brothers, sisters, you know, pulling them.
So for you to recommend these holidays, does that mean that you have to kind of go on all of them in advance to check them out?
We do, because the thing is that we had a girl recently who joined the company, and she'd been to everywhere in Africa, but she hadn't been to Kenya. So she only joined in May, but we sent her off for 10 days, 1 week, to see all the properties in Kenya that we use. So she has that, you know, she's very familiar with it. But then, like, I've just come back from Costa Rica. I was just in ILTM, which is a trade fair where I met new properties. Like, Zimbabwe is another growing destination. It's not expensive. It's much cheaper than the other African destinations, but their properties weren't great. Now they've got a wonderful property that's open beside the Victoria Falls. So, you know, there's lots of new properties opening up. Like, another thing is, like, Irish people are used to going to America. But they're used to doing the Las Vegas, the New York, California. Well, our biggest seller is rugged Americana. So you can go to a dude ranch, you can go on a cattle drive, you can learn how to, whether one wants to learn how to shoot, but learn how to shoot, fly, fish, everything. And the other thing is, because of our connections, we know about these properties before they open. Like when the Waldorf Astoria opened in Beverly Hills, it's a new hotel that everyone wants to go to because of the you know, the bar and restaurant on the top. But we were there, like, we're very lucky that we're able to see those properties before they open up. A new property in Utah is Blue Sky Lodge, opening up in April. And again, you can go there, you can do yoga retreats, or you can get down and dirty and do sort of wild adventure. And again, that activity, the adventures, is one of the biggest trends for this year. Foodie tours in Japan. Japan now has become a new destination. It's not somewhere people, like, they did it before, but now they're coming back, and it's known as a foodie trail. So, and the thing is that people always think that, you know, you do one vacation a year. Japan is an example. You may have had to go, or your partner may have had to go to a conference, say, in Asia. You can go for 3 or 4 days and do a foodie trail in Osaka and in Tokyo. And you can do it in 4 days. You can come back. Like going to Italy, you can do things like going on a Vespa around the city. You know, in Berlin, doing a graffiti workshop. Like actually, you know, covering yourself and then doing graffiti on a wall in Berlin. Like, there's lots of things you can do, and they don't have to be long trips. They can be little trips. But the trick is to do something that's different.
Do you ever have any difficulty, you know, helping someone to select a place? Like you mentioned Zimbabwe there, and other countries that maybe mightn't be quite as popular in the media. So do you have to, you know, say to people, this is actually a great destination and I'd really like to go and check it out?
Yeah, because, like, for example, a lot of people, when we mention the gorillas as well, you can do it in Rwanda, you can do it in Congo, and you can do it in Uganda. Uganda's much cheaper, but the experience isn't as enriching. It's bigger groups. Congo has the enriching experience, but it's much cheaper, but it's dangerous. At least it could be perceived as being dangerous. So what we would do is have them staying in Uganda or in Kenya, and then bring them in on a helicopter.
Okay.
And that will take away the danger element, and they still get to see the experience. But
as long as you're not afraid of getting in a helicopter.
Exactly. It's very funny, because one time we had a client, and he was Chinese, and he was travelling by himself. And we were in Botswana, and we had the option of a helicopter with or without doors. And this man had one of these long cameras, and everywhere he went, he was like using the camera. But when he got in the helicopter, he didn't realise that it was literally no doors at all. So all of a sudden, he was behind me, and he says, "I feel very uncomfortable."
I don't blame him.
I was saying, no, start taking photos. He said, no, I feel really, really uncomfortable. And I said to the pilot, okay, what's the story? Like, how far is it to get back, or how far is it to keep on going?
Yeah.
He said 15 minutes either way. So I just turned around and I said, you have to keep on taking photos. Calm down, take photos. So after we got off the helicopter, he came over to me and he bowed and he said, "Helicopter lady, helicopter lady." But there's so many, like in Rwanda as well, there's the Genocide Museum. Costa Rica, there's the animals. You can camp outside. You can camp on the beach. You know, just like even Bali, there's new properties opening up all the time. Like sometimes, like a lot of Irish people went to say Australia and New Zealand as backpackers, but now there's amazing luxury lodges dotted all around. Even revisiting France and just doing a tour of the Relais and Chateau properties, because a lot of the hoteliers say to me, when Irish people come, they would almost book out other clients for Irish people because we spend a lot of money on good food and we buy expensive wines.
That's it. I remember even last Christmas, Joanna Lumley and Jennifer Saunders, they did a show where they did like the champagne tour. They went around the full region in France. And when we watched it, even we were thinking, that looks like a really fabulous... They took the train out and it just looked amazing. Like even doing something like that you mightn't think of.
Yeah, like it. And the other thing is that because, like, again, because of the connections we have, like the hoteliers will do things like in Berlin they leave a little tray, and it's something that's not expensive, like the curry versus famous in Berlin, a Berlin beer, and then sort of like a metal utensil for eating, so you can actually experience it either in the hotel that night or bring it home. Like in Portugal, a lot of the good hotels free of charge will leave an amenity of different aged ports, and again you can experience it there or bring it home. Olive oils with, you know, little crudités to try the olive oil, or you can bring it home, so you're sort of bringing the trip home with you. And like it's little things like on the Vespa tour in Italy, they then after you do it for sort of half an hour, you go to the very top of one of the hills for a panoramic view, but then a Rolls Royce comes up, they open the boot, and inside is a hamper basket with champagne and little things to eat. You know, it's those little touches that you can add in as well.
And now I know a lot of your clients, you know, would be sort of, that we know of anyway, would be very A-list. I'm not going to ask you about them as such. Obviously, you know, Kim and Kanye and Taylor Swift and members of the royal family. So when we hear that, anybody listening might suddenly think, I can't afford one of these holidays. But what are we talking? Obviously, there's different scales.
Yeah.
But is there kind of an average price that someone, you know, if they saved, they would be able to do something?
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of clients that are in America and other countries. So what they tend to book through us is something that they know that we do that's really over the top. But with Irish people, it's more middle of the road going up. So the average price for an Irish person would be about €6,000 per person. And that would be for a 10 to 14 day trip. Now, obviously, you know, if you go to some places like in Africa, you're paying park fees, so they'll eat up a chunk of the money. But then you get your meals free and your, you know, the daily wines and you know, gin and tonics free. So, you know, an average is about 6,000 per person. But see, the other thing is that the trends nowadays is people, they want to stay in the luxury hotels, but they're also the type of people who want to spend a night in an igloo, a night in a monastery. Like one thing we do in Kenya is you can spend a night with my husband's tribe, who's a bushman, in like just with the family. And it's not any singing and dancing, something contrived. It's actually just...
Your husband is a bushman?
My husband's a bushman from the north of Kenya, yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so we just arrange for people, and my mother-in-law lives in a hut, so you actually just stay with the tribe. If they water the animals, you go with them.
I'd say Christmas is interesting in your house. Is it in the hut now?
Well, the funny thing is, I've been here for the last 3 years, but he just left yesterday for 4 months because we've got clients more or less all the time in Kenya. And
do you go over, I presume, now?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm going over there in March.
God,
but that's another thing as well. Like sometimes we tend to have a different take on things. Is that like if we're say comparing two properties, we'd be very brutally honest, and we'll tell you about the properties water and all, because sometimes you've got fantastic properties, but they mightn't have the animal experience because they're new properties, but their food architecture is fantastic. And then there's in Kenya, I'm thinking of two properties in particular that are only 20 kilometres from each other, and another one is there for 90 years, fantastic animal experience, but the food and the architecture wouldn't be as great. So sometimes, like, we would tell people warts and all as well about things like that. So he's actually over in Kenya, and we've got clients from the 20th of December there until mid-March.
Amazing. Well, Siobhan, I could talk to you all day about this. We're sadly out of time, but Siobhan Byrne Learat, thank you so much for coming into us today. Founder and president of Adams and Butler. And if people want to contact you in any way, can they do so online?
Yes, well, the Adams and Butler, with it like ADAMS, butler.com, and then my own email address is Siobhan@adamsandbutler.com, and we'd be delighted.
Lovely. Well, Siobhan, thank you so much for coming into us today. We're going to
The Nicky Byrne Show with Jenny Green.